Common Sense Media activated.
You are now entering Dad Mode, a podcast with a dad's eye view. We are your hosts, the friendly neighborhood, amazing dad,
Rich,
and I am the dad of steel, E. James. How you doing, my man?
doing good. You know, another day, another dollar.
They paid you today?
Man, they made me pay everything. How about you?
Yeah, man.
cracking?
I'm tired. I was up later than I had any business being. I didn't go to bed till like 2 something.
Okay, yeah.
And
Same here.
I was watching YouTube, man. I was watching freaking Roadcaster videos and this dude named Mike Russell, this English guy, comparing different pieces of gear because I'm a gear junkie. So I was just like, oh, new hotness. What's this about?
There you go. Yeah.
And I'm paying for it today.
Yeah. And then, of course, when you get older, that sleep is more valuable.
Amen to that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I know
Yeah,
I was
man.
up, and I was just up all night. You know, I went to sleep, and then I just woke up, and I just mainly woke up because I had some ideas for the show. And it was just like, oh, yeah. You know, I was texting you last night thinking that you was going to wake up in the morning and get all these text messages, but you would text me back. And I'm like, oh, this dude's still up. Oh, okay.
You're like, this brother's still up too.
Man, he usually be in bed by now, but all right.
Usually. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, man. But I guess I was thinking about it too. Like I was actually thinking about the show just like you, and then looking at gear, man, and I was like, what's this about?
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, now that we are talking about gear, you know, we got to gear ourselves for back to school.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's that time of year.
Man, it is, you know, I've been going at this for 13 years. Well, not 13 years.
Almost.
You know. Yeah. So how long? Man, maybe like 7, 8 years. No, 8 years now. Maybe. I don't remember.
Oh yeah, I guess if
Yeah.
you're counting like not counting when before
Yeah, my oldest
school.
13, so he was 5 when he went in. So yeah,
Yeah.
8 years. Yeah, so you know, it's each year is different, as you may know. So you know, what's going to be different for you this time around?
Well, this year I have a bona fide junior high student, and I have a 4th grader. But for me, next year is going to be the big one. That'll be a great episode a year from now.
Yeah.
Because as mentioned in episode 1, you know, it's a milestone year, having a 13-year-old at that point, and a 10-year-old, and then a kindergartner. But this summer, man, is just it's been nice, not as productive in some ways as I'd wanted, and more productive than expected in others.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's kind of what I wanted to touch on tonight.
Yeah.
So we'd like to discuss kind of like the transition from summer break into going back to school, you know, share kind of our routines, our roles, you know, things we do to try to help the kids prepare to go back to school.
Yeah.
And then maybe you listeners out there can find tips or whatever from us, or, you know, write us back through our email, dadmodepod, DADMODEPOD @gmail.com. Give us your feedback and let us know, hey, this is what we do. This is what we found useful, because like all you other dads and the moms that are listening, you parents, we're learning too.
Yeah.
So
Especially at
it's
different ages.
Exactly.
Different ages,
Yeah.
yeah. And I know that's one thing that if you have multiple kids, you know, you would think that it should be the same for each grade. So, you know, when it comes to me, I have a 13-year-old and then I have a 10-year-old. So when my son was 10 years old, I would have at least assumed to myself that this is going to be the same thing.
Right.
But it's not, you know. So, of course, as the times go, they're doing different things as far as what they're learning, and what they're learning in 5th grade at that time of being a 10-year-old is different than what my son learned in 5th grade.
Yeah.
So many more years prior to that. So, you know, you got to get yourself geared up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So But yeah,
So let's talk about the transition from from the last day of school to summer. Now, you live in Alaska.
yep,
I live in Texas.
yeah.
When does school get out for you?
It is, I believe, the 3 days before Memorial Day. So what's that, like May 20th ish time frame? So, they get Memorial Day weekend. So, up there in Alaska, they like go fishing or whatever. So
Right.
yeah, they get that out and then it's like gone. What about here's a little bit different, right? Or at least depending on
Actually,
school.
we're right about the same time as you. I want to say it was the 27th. I wish my wife was present because she would correct me swiftly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But basically, roughly, I think it's like the last week of May
Yeah.
is when our kids get out. So
And y'all do different schoolings too. So unless you talk, yeah, is it the public school here too? That is at the same time frame?
it depends on the district. So
Yeah, okay.
we're in a funny school district, and I'd like to hear from you listeners out there how it is for y'all. But we're in a little bit of a weird situation. So our kids go to a charter school because when we lived on the other side of town, we weren't big fans of the school district there, and we had the intent to put them in Northeast ISD.
Yeah.
But because of, invisible lines, or if you want to count the road, I guess that technically is a line.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody lives across the street and down goes to what's Northeast ISD, where we are is Judson ISD. And the junior high that my eldest child would go to is way out, like a couple towns away. For those of you that are local, it's Kitty Hawk is where she would go.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I'm not to bash the school. A, I don't want to really take her that far, and B, it's lacking. It's not what it used to be.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that because again, I don't want to sound like a snob, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or trigger anybody. Right.
Yeah.
But that's just, we have a certain set of expectations in that school, judging by scores and what we've heard from other parents in the neighborhood. It doesn't meet our expectations as parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Northeast ISD has a fantastic reputation here in town, and that's where we want our kids to go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, also, every school is different. There are specific schools, even in not so great districts, that are amazing.
Yeah.
Diamonds in the rough. They're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, our kids get out, like I said, the last week of May. And then, after that, what we end up doing is typically we'll try to plan some sort of vacation.
Yeah.
They'll like go stay with my parents. And they did that for a month. This is the first time they had all three kids.
Yeah.
So they stayed
Okay.
there for like 3 weeks.
They were probably like, "Thank you, see ya."
Yeah.
Kick them out. It's like, bye. I'm done. Yeah. No, I get it.
What about you?
No, yeah, same here. Our summer, at least, my parents came up to visit us for at least a month in July. In Alaska, summers are beautiful, as you may know. Just if you've been to Alaska in the summertime, it is a beautiful state to be in. Nice, brisk. It's fresh, and of course the fishing and the hunting, all those different type of things. If you're into the outdoorsy stuff, cool. But for us, we like to be outdoorsy in a different aspect. Like the theme parks and all that jazz. And
Right.
so this summer has been, of course, personally, we've had a lot of issues with our home. We've been having to deal with that a lot. So, that kind of put a back burner on a lot of things. And then, of course, we had the weather. The weather has been kind of icky, raining a lot, and just been, we don't like that. And we do a lot of things outside, like go out and play in the water. But, when it's like 75, 80 degrees, cool. But now it's like always raining. And it's like, I don't want to be in that kind of water park. I want to be, I want to be in something different. So they came up, and then we would surprise the kids to send them down here to Texas, and we usually send them down. They just lived here like 2 years ago, so we've been sending them down every last summer. They were here for the whole summer, and for us, what we try to do for our kids is give them a break. Like this,
Right.
You've been in school for 6-7 months, however long your school is. You got to have a little reprieve. Just get out. Go if you want to play video games for how every day for the rest of the summer, cool, whatever. As long as you don't come back like a dummy, So if you can remember some of this stuff, that's cool. And I know before, when it comes to our son, we used to try and have him do those little workbooks.
Yeah, that's
right?
what we do.
And so it's kind of like he used to do that, and now it's kind of like, well, he knows a lot of it. Okay, let's test his knowledge to where when he goes back into school, see where his knowledge is at. And last year worked out really good. He retained a lot of information, but we'll see how this summer goes. Going into an 8th grade now, so 8th grade, that's a little bit harder. Our 7th grade was kind of like a sort of like a gap year because the 6th grade didn't really do him any good, unfortunately. And of course, during that time frame, we had a lot of issue with the school district when it comes to teachers and all the jazz, that can be talked about later. But, hopefully this year, now that he has a middle school grade underneath his belt, being in 7th grade, it's like, holy cow, I got lockers. You're like, oh my goodness, I got puberty and, all this other stuff that's becoming to be a 11 to 12, 13-year-old. It's going to be, girls are kind of coming into play and, all these different types of scenarios that are going to be new. And now he has to, when it comes to that gap or that time frame from middle school to high school, it's right around the corner. So he hopefully this year in 8th grade, he's going to understand that 8th grade is going to be a little bit tougher, of course. But, as a dad, I got to get him all set up for success and getting him successful to where when it comes to making it to where he can understand what he needs to do, but then also making it to where he could still have fun doing it. Mm-hmm. And I'm the type of dad, and you are too, that we're like the fun dads. We want to
try to be.
Yeah, exactly. We're the fun dad. At least we want to have a little fun with our kids, make sure that they're doing things right too in the process. So
I want to take a step back. You mentioned a few things there, and we can go in multiple directions with this. But you mentioned the workbooks, the workbooks. So, how many pages a day do you have them do? Do you have them do the workbook every day? Like, for example, in our house, most of the time, most days, we have them try to do a page or two. And then as time permits, we'll check them, make sure that the answers are right. The problem with some of those workbooks is that there are things they haven't been introduced to. And so we found when it came to answers, my children were going, I don't even know what this is. We haven't covered this yet.
So are you going back or are you going forward?
What do you mean?
Yeah, so I mean by that is workbooks, right? So you have a 6th grade going to 7th grade. Are you having...
Going forward.
Okay.
Yep.
See, that's one thing that I thought about doing, but we want to... But then sometimes with of course it depends on literature. It depends on the book you're using. Some of these books, they may have information that they were never taught in the previous grade.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I missed this. So that's why sometimes what we'll do is we'll get the previous grades. And then, of course, it depends on your child, right? Their learning curve. My daughter, she's like book smart. So she likes to do like 5th grade work when she was in 3rd grade, vice versa, So, and so I guess it just depends on how your child is. And for our child, we try to do that same grade just to see about retain that information because we want the future grade for them to teach, right? We want that's what we're literally paying them to do, at least depending on where you're at. We're paying them to teach the what am I thinking of?
What, the curriculum?
Curriculum.
Yes.
Wow, don't know.
Got you, bro. Got you.
There you go. So yeah, it's basically the curriculum. Yeah, they need to teach that curriculum. So I mean, the kid can sort of learn their own with these books or whatever you're using. But then when it comes to seeing how they learn in that latter grade of 7th grade, seeing where it's going to happen, where it's like, seeing how the teacher, seeing what they're doing. If they're able to teach them the right way, teach them to where they can understand the curriculum. So,
So what we do is, like I was saying, we have them go forward to answer your question.
Yeah.
Right? We have them go forward, always moving forward, never going back.
Exactly.
You know what, though? Having said what you said, I may do that. We may do that, right? We may try going with the previous year and see if they just barrel through it. I mean, if it's like super easy and it's just no benefit,
Exactly.
then we may we may get the next year up.
Mhm.
I think I'm pretty sure they have those books that are supposed to make that transition from one to the other.
Yep. The
So
bridge. Yeah.
that kind of bridges that gap. But the thing is, these books are trying to account for everybody.
Yeah.
And you don't know what schools, what districts, what they're trying to emphasize. Oh, we're going to emphasize number bonds. I don't know. Whereas this other school may say, well, we're going to do factoring. I don't know. I'm not really.
That Common Core math.
Yeah, right. You got that new math.
Got to branch off. Oh,
right.
no,
I mean,
man.
you get what I mean, though.
Yeah.
So that's where you kind of run into trouble. It's trying to be a one size fits all kind of solution, and it very well may not be. So we do that. We let them play video games. The one thing, and I really want to ask you this is, do you monitor how long they play, or you just say, hey, as long as these things are done, go for it? Because like my house, we let them go a couple hours, sometimes a few more if we're just not even thinking about it. So I work from home 2 to 3 days a week. Most of the time it's 2 days. Every once in a while, I have to stay an extra day because something, like we had to get our roof replaced. So I had to be here a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Or the kids got an appointment or what have you. And we'll touch on our changing roles over the summer to back to school, a little bit later.
Yeah.
But what I'll do is I'll say, okay, girls, because my son is at daycare.
Yeah.
Getting him that socialization and getting them ready for school, right? I'll say, okay, girls, knock out a pager for you. Do your chores, make your bed, all the standard stuff. And then I say, okay, you may play on a PC. They'll play Minecraft, or I'll say, go play Fortnite, which, as an aside, I played that for the very first time today with them.
Man, you dipped into that?
Man, we had a blast.
Man.
I still think the mechanics are a little clunky, but
I
dude,
tried that, bro. And
those microtransactions, dude, I'm telling you, they nickel and dime the heck out of you. That might have to be like a crossover with WFS where we just talk about Fortnite as a group.
Oh no, yeah. See, that's my son tried it, and my daughter tried to get me into that, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, my kids love it, man.
My kids love it too.
Yeah, they're all over it. So, so going back to monitoring and gaming, so. Few hours. I'm a tech dad. I'm in IT. Well, I'm in security, but I have like stuff that gives me reports. Okay, they spent this much time on Microsoft or their Apple devices, or it'll cut off the internet at a certain time of night for them. So I mean, it cuts off the internet, just stops their devices from accessing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I try not to be like a prison dad, but I try to make sure that they do things in moderation. So what is your strategy with entertainment?
Yeah, so as long as your stuff is done, that's what me and the wife are like, make sure your stuff is done as far as at least for, your homework, at least during school. Homework's done, grades are good, and just, we're laid back to the aspect as long as they do what they need to do.
Gotcha.
And at least they get that, but they kind of try to test the waters a little bit.
Of course they do.
And so that's the and the fun dad in me is like, okay, yeah, go ahead and beat that level so you can, make sure you save your status and things like that. But then, tough dad, gotta get in the dad mode and be like, yo, come on, man. Like, what's up with these Fs, dude? Or what's up with these Ds? Or, or why are you not clean your room, or vice versa? So we try to let them play, have a little fun, because it can't be all seriousness, right? You gotta have a little bit of fun, have a little bit of
course,
everything's like that, but they gotta make sure the stuff's done. That's just basically it. So that's what's gonna happen.
Hey man, clean your room.
Yeah.
I've never really listened to him, but I know he's famous for saying it. That dude Jordan B. Peterson's always like, no, clean your room. Sorry, that was my like Canadian Jordan
tried.
Peterson thing.
He tried.
Voice. I tried. I probably failed.
Yeah. He's probably going to text you like, hey, man.
That's not how I sound, sir.
Yeah.
Want some syrup? No.
Go to that dad pod at Gmail and say something.
We got beef now.
Yeah. But yeah, and that's something that when it comes to our family, yeah, we need to that's what we do as a family is make sure that our stuff is done before. Yeah, what's the famous saying? Work before play,
business before
pleasure.
Absolutely.
You know, all those different sayings. Work hard, play hard, and it's part of life. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's part of life. But
so, how do you when the kids are gone? So they came down here before you and the missus.
yeah,
So part of being a dad, if you are married, is being a husband.
yep,
And finding that time for your significant others. If you're a single dad, then it may be something along the lines of finding time for you.
yeah. That's what I was just saying.
Because your child is out of school.
Yeah. Yep.
So how do you A, find time for yourself, and then B, how do you and Mrs. Big Rich find time for each other?
Yeah, we just do what we have to do to make ourselves into each other, and trying to find time now that when they're gone. Yeah, just got to make it happen.
Yep.
Just got to do it and make it to where you are wanting to do things with each other.
Yeah.
Now, what do we do? It could be sleep. And sleeping with each other, or sleeping just in general, catching up on sleep, catching up on things,
Right.
just anything in general, that as long as we both know that we are there for each other. And that's something that me and Mrs. Big Rich sees the boss and makes sure that hey, gotta keep the boss happy so that we can make things work, make things right. So when it comes to me and her, yeah, we just when they're down for the summer, there are a lot of things that we want to take care of when they're not here, that we don't want them to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So if, say for instance, a lot of house projects, so we may do certain things. Say for instance, so far this summer we built some sheds, little Costco sheds or whatever.
Nice.
That took like a day or so.
Yeah.
Of course, if their kids were here, that would be more of just like, hey, let me help you. I was like, you're slowing me down a little bit. But for in this particular time, we made it more of ourselves doing it together, doing these little tiny things. It may not be going on a walk in the park or something, but it's building a shed. Doing that together compared to doing nothing together is better than anything. So yeah.
That's the thing, isn't it? Is finding, like, I don't know how other couples or individuals do it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's someone out there who maps out, okay, summer break, these are the things they're doing. These are the chores. These are the projects, right? This is your chore map. This is the projects we're going to do. This is the travel we're going to do. All that stuff, right? When my children went away for 3 weeks, we had a list of things that we wanted to do and probably did 2/3 to 3/4 of it.
Wow, you did that much? That's
yeah.
good.
And for us, that was actually bad, because last summer or the last time they were like gone, when the girls were gone, it was just our son. We were actually more productive when little man was here. Because we really wanted to hit the ground running. But I mean, 2/3 or 3/4 is not bad. So we're an active family. We've got basketball.
Yeah.
Both girls.
Yep.
Son was playing t-ball.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm doing these podcasts.
Yep.
And I was studying for, a test. And I finally had to reschedule that because not enough time in the world. My father went to the hospital and just all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, random stuff.
And so I think it's important to find time for yourself. That is, I'm a outgoing person. I load up my schedule with a lot of stuff. I love people. I just love doing things because, I'm going to hit a milestone birthday here.
Oh, yeah.
Very soon.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm entering the second half of the game, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'll be 40 this year.
Yeah.
So that's huge for me.
You look good for 40.
I appreciate that, man. So do you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm
Who says I'm 40? No, I was messing with you.
oh, 40 minus 10. That's
yeah,
right.
I know, right?
Shoot, man. But no, so I think it's important to find that you time. And I had never actually really found that until they were gone. All of them. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so dads, sit down, do nothing. And that's okay.
Yeah.
If you're even if you're the kind of person that hates it, and believe me, there are times where I'm just like, dude, I'm so bored. I want to go do. You know what? I embraced it because there were times where I sat down and I was just like, man, I've been sitting for like 15 minutes doing nothing. It's quiet.
Yeah.
I'm
Dad
bored.
need a vacation too.
Yeah.
And I was going to say the same thing, bro. Like it is one of those things where last year there were some times where I hopped on the PS5 and with no interruptions, I was just like, cool. I got to catch up on some things.
Yeah.
I mean, we got this show Dad Mode, and there are going to be some times where Dad Mode is going to be turned off for a second. And that's something that we encourage, and not only just we encourage, there's probably other people that encourage it too, but there's going to be some encouragement saying, hey, turn the brain off for a little bit. Your kids are in good hands. Yes. Wherever you send them at least that's what we want. That's as a parent is what we're going to send the kids to, places where they're going to be in good hands.
Yes, sir.
So you shouldn't have to worry about being a dad for that moment, for however long it is. So that's something that you got to do. Just take some, that is sometimes what happened last year and this year. There were some days that we were just like, I really don't want to talk to my kids. I want, I don't
want to talk to anybody.
Yeah, I just want, and I do, and of course when I do talk to my kids, Dad mode kicks in and be like, oh yeah, I am a dad because I miss my kids. There is that thing in the back of your head that's in the back of your head that you have kids, but then there's something that there's like that little. I can't think of what it's called, like the little devil and the little angel on the side or whatever.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, man,
like the duality.
You got some kids over there. Yeah, I do. But yeah, you want some vacation time. Take some time off. Like, yeah, you're right. All right. So, I mean, that's something that as a dad, you got to take advantage of that. And I'm glad you brought that up because, not a lot of people do it. And some people aren't fortunate to do it, So as long as you don't go into it just thinking that you can just, you just know you are a dad, of course, but then, of course, just understand that don't beat yourself over it as far as that you are never going to get a break.
Never feel guilty for having you time.
Yeah.
Everybody needs it. Whether you think you need it or not, you need it.
Yeah. And it doesn't even matter if it's like over summer vacation. It could be like a nightly thing. Like you should have your schedule set to where in between the kids going to bed at 9 or whatever time you set to maybe an hour, it gets turned off. Turn that thing off, man. Like, hey, it's...
Yes. So for me time, my nickname in my house sometimes from my wife is feng shui. Mm-hmm. I get bored and I rearrange things. My office that we're sitting in right now recording this show, I went and I got rid of a bookshelf. I cleared out a closet. It forced me because I got tired. I felt claustrophobic. And I took all the stuff off my shelves and I put all my books in there. I gave Trey my bookshelf. I've had that thing since 2010, 2009, whatever.
Dang.
Yeah. It's in great.
One of those builder shelves?
No, I bought it from like an all wood store. It's like furniture in the raw or something like that, but it was actually painted. It was it's a very nice bookshelf.
Yeah.
I love the bookshelf. I love it. So I went and I gave it to him. And then I had this other shelf from IKEA that you're looking at over here. I put all this stuff that was in the closet on there. And I really focused my energy on decluttering. And for me, getting rid of stuff feels good. And I'm still not done. There are many things that I'd like to do to really free up space and just kind of allow myself to breathe. But that's one thing. I like to go to shows and go see live music.
Yeah.
My wife took, and this is when the kids were back already, but the wife took me to go see as an early birthday present Chappelle when he came here.
Oh no!
And that was
no.
that was a milestone, or not a milestone, excuse me, a bucket list.
Yep.
Bucket list thing, dude. I ain't gonna lie. And dads, it's okay to cry. Some of y'all act tough. I didn't cry, but I was close. She spent some bread. She got them on StubHub, so she got them discounted. We were in the 6th row, dude, from the stage. Man. When the show was over, I could smell the cigarette smoke. That's how close I was.
I was gonna say, and then you were able to give me a high five,
bro.
Yeah. What's up?
Man, Donnell Rawlings came down in the crowd.
So the whole Chappelle show up in that
bro.
Beast, man.
It was Mo Amer, Dave Chappelle, Anderson .Paak under the name DJ Pee Wee did a full-on DJ set. It was a concert. They had it listed on the show, and we're kind of going off on a slight tangent here, but this is the importance of finding that time for yourself.
Yeah.
And doing things that you love while you have that break, and doing things with your kids, which we'll touch on momentarily.
Mm-hmm.
It said like an hour and a half or 2 hours. What it was listed at, it was 4 hours. It was great.
Yeah.
It was fantastic, man. And it was much needed.
Yeah.
It was very much needed. And that was a continuation of the other half of what I asked you, is finding time for you and the wife. Because when your kids go away on vacation or they go to camps, you know, our thing, our traditional roles, right? As a father is you know, we're the provider, we're the breadwinners, you know,
provider,
We are men.
You know what I mean? Like that's our thing. And then the moms, you know,
they like to nurture the kids, and you know, that's their thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it doesn't have to be that. Find what works for you.
Yep.
Find what works for her. Handle your chores, handle your projects. Try to find that space or that time to do things with your kids. I honestly, I have a little bit of regret in my heart. This is a confessional. I didn't do as many things with my kids this summer as I would have liked, but when I did do things with my kids, I made it count.
Yeah.
We went to see the new Ninja Turtles movie.
Mm-hmm.
We balled out. We had a great time. No limits. We ordered pizza. We ordered all the things. My stomach was hurting. I ate so much food. We had a great time.
Yep.
I played video games with my kids. I was at basketball games. You know, I sat with my boy and we did puzzles when I could.
Mm-hmm.
Because with all the stuff with Pops, I really had to shift my energy on taking care of that from basically May to August, you know? So that ate up a lot of time. But in that time, I made sure I did things with my kids. And hey, I'm there for your games. I'm there for your practices. You want to have a conversation with me? Let's do it. You have to do it.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because I mean, you bring up that situation, and it's unfortunate that it had to go that way.
Mm-hmm.
As far as something drastic had to happen, I wouldn't say that. Like as far as, oh, this had to happen in order for me to be a better dad, if that makes sense. Like be a better dad,
absolutely,
meaning, like doing things with the kids and things like that. But if it has to happen that way, it has to happen that way. It happened to me in my point in my life, to where it's like you see something and you're like, okay, you see something and then you're like, okay, well, I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing, which is not spending enough time with my kids. So let me go ahead and just let them know that they're loved by me, by a way that I can be, by a way that I can love my kids. So if that means like watching a movie like you did with the kids, then that's what we do. That's what they like to do.
Right.
And say, for instance, this summer, you know, we've been going to all kinds of stuff. Like, what do you want to do? What do you want me to do with you? Okay, let's go. I'm down. And we go and do it. So as far as that goes, yeah, you just gotta do it, man. Like it's, you know, as a dad, you gotta have that time away, but then of course you gotta have that time of being with them when the moment counts.
You're making memories.
Yep.
You have to find time to make memories.
Yeah.
With your kids, and so that's kind of one thing that I wanted to ask you about, is like, you know, how do you make memories? But I think I think we're touching on that now.
Yeah.
Is how we're doing that. So it's watching movies at home or
Going, ice skating and
going ice skating,
something like that.
For my children and I, we're watching games together. Basketball's heavy. I'm showing my kids moves. I'm going and renting the gym when they don't have practice on other days, putting in additional work. Actually, and this is part of the transition to going back to school, junior high basketball is going to come up.
Oh yeah, and it's totally different, bro.
It is. Well, and my eldest child plays for a team that's technically an AAU team, but he's got all new players. He restarted his program because the pandemic. He'd stepped away, right? And so now he's building this team back up. They're down on the west side, which is like 30 to 45 minutes, depending on traffic from us. It's taxing. Yeah. And, I love the team. I know the kids. I know the parents. The coaches are great, but I'll be relieved if I don't have to do that drive as often as we're doing. So there are some weaknesses in my kids' game, not like being a jerk about it, but it's more from a physicality thing. Now I'm going to start helping her weight train. I'm going to go. Yeah. I've been wanting to do something in my garage because that's where my gym is. I've been wanting to redo that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get some kettlebells and some ankle weights and get a new rack to put the weights on and make that space to where okay, I'm going to get a new mat too because it gets so hot out there. Sometimes what I do, because we have bare floors, tile floors, I want to put these weights down and where it's open and then we'll just lift in there. Yeah. And we'll just do a few things. I'm not going to overwork her, but just show her stuff to kind of help strengthen her body for basketball.
Yeah. And that's something that as part of being a dad is making sure that you give them the right, you're there with them the whole entire way, not just if it's something to, do whatever you got to do to help them.
Yes.
And if you're helping them weight train, then guess what? That's something as a dad you see, and then you work with them.
Yes.
Meaning grab the dumbbells or grab whatever it is that's going to, and do it with them compared to watching them do it.
Right. So, showing them the proper forms.
Exactly.
It's not just like you're torturing them. We're working together. It's benefiting them to have that time with you, but then it's benefiting them because they're actually doing the work.
And they're going to see you.
Right.
And they're going to love it. And they're going to think, my dad's doing this with me or mom. And they're going to say that, hey, they're in my corner by doing this with me. For me, it's, I'm not the physically fit person that I used to be, but I know that's what I'm going to have to start doing. Just like you said, because, hey, we're getting older too. And that we got to be better we got to keep our bodies healthy so that we can witness our kids getting older.
Yes.
And witness them doing great things. So now it's just more of just making sure that they are primed in the right position to be the greatest things that they can do.
Yep.
So
or be. Yep.
Yep.
So we mentioned back to school.
Yep.
So we talked about summer activities, chores, spending time with them, making memories. Transitioning back to school. Our goal, which we kind of failed miserably this summer, but our goal is a few weeks out, 2-3 weeks, is to transition them back to going to bed at a decent time. So during the school year, it's usually about 8:30.
Man, that mess out the window, bro. That ain't, that's gone.
8:30, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the day before, and the kids are used to going to bed. They were going to bed somewhere between 10:30, 11 o'clock, sometimes 11:30. I just shocked their system. It's 9 o'clock, go to bed. Huh? They looked at me like, what's wrong with you?
My body's so used to going to bed at 2 a.m.
Yeah. So do you do that, a transition plan, or you just say, hey, you got school tomorrow, go to bed?
This year probably different because, we get back 2 days before school. And, we try. We try to do that. And I know it's hard. But then, like I said, just like you said, it's just throw them in the wolves, go to the wolves. This is it. Guess what? You got to go to bed. And then you're like,
Bedtime.
Yep. Then you gotta wake up, and of course, I gotta get back into work mode too. To where I gotta get back into getting up at a certain time, taking the kids, because I'm that dad that takes the kids to school to their, so that's something that we could touch on. Like, what kind of dad are you?
I was going to ask, what's your role?
Yeah, my role is just my wife works very early in the morning, like 7 in the morning. So she's not able to take the kids to school. So I'm the dad that takes the kids to school, which I love it. I get to see my kids, see them get ready. Now, when it comes to the daughter's hair and the kids' hair, I'm not the greatest. Not the greatest at that. But hey, boy, you are 13 years old. Get that naughty head right. Or girl, hey, you're 10 years old. Come on, don't you know how you should be at that age? If not, okay, I can do my little dad hair and just brush, spray, put in a ponytail, out the door. So that's something for So that's and get them breakfast and whatever they want to eat, and get them up and take them to their schools. They go to 2 separate schools, of course, and we have the daughter goes to a before school care and after school care. So then I end up picking them up after school, and then of course I know this year they're doing it differently, which it sucks, but it is what it is. I think like for middle school they're having the kids go to school at like 9:00 or something like that.
9 o'clock sounds late.
Yeah, it is very late.
That sounds late.
Yeah, it's very late. I have to I have to do some more research on it. I got to do it real soon because that's starting next week. So
you better.
So it's something different. But I'm that dad that gets the kids ready, takes them to school wherever they need to go. If they got basketball practice or my daughter's into softball or gymnastics or whatever, take them to dad. And then of course, wife, she'll come and she'll do those things too afterwards, and but for a dad, that's something that I wouldn't say always is, but it's something that, hey, you want to split the thing down the middle. If your wife is doing the breakfast cooking in the morning, you can take him to school or whatever your situation is. That and then that role of dad is all up to the situation. When it comes to what you are dealing with, as far as what you have going on, like if you have to work earlier, like my wife does. Yeah. So, you can piggyback off that.
Okay.
But
all right.
What about you? What you the daddy daycare kind of guy?
Well, so for me, and that ritual doesn't really change much over the summer. So I primarily get my son ready because I pick his hair. He's got a little mini fro. He's got like the little
Steph Curry.
Yeah. And he gets like the little fade joint, so I hook him up. But I am trying to be back to being more consistent. So when we lived at our old house, which was further away than where we are now from work, I think my drive is 20, 25 minutes. That was like 30 to 40 minutes, depending on how bad traffic was going to where I am or where I work.
Yeah.
So I would get up at like 4:40 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'd lift weights in the morning and then I'd go to work. And now I'm finding myself getting up at like 5:30, somewhere between 5:30 and 6:15. If I have a late night, 6:30, and that's just not going to work.
Yeah.
So I'm making a personal change going back to school to like say, hey, I'm going back to school too. Things are going to be different for me as well.
Yeah,
so
right.
I'm trying to make that transition with them.
Yeah.
So we have split duties. Wife does the hair. Our daughters are older like yours. You're 10 and your 13-year-old, right?
Yeah.
12-year-old.
Yep. 13.
13.
Mm-hmm.
My fault. They'll brush their teeth. They'll get their own breakfast. They get up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I love having the home pods, the Apple that's like the equivalent of the Google Mini or the Echo by Amazon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I've changed their music. They used to wake up to Sparta. So there's a song that goes, "Wake up! Can you hear me?"
Really?
And it screams in their ear, and they're just like, "I don't like that." So when school started, I played Deftones Back to School. So it starts off with, "So ride and they back to school. It's like, it's that time, y'all. My whole routine though is just, I get up and I look around to make sure that they're up. And if they're not, I'm like, all right, y'all, it's time to go. I think my eldest's alarm is set for 5:30 and the other one's set for 5:45. And then they have a second alarm that's 15 minutes later. Mm-hmm. That gives them like a nice little offset.
Yeah.
Right. So they've got that. Okay, I slept in the first one, but that second one's going to get you. X going to give it to you.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Yep. And so by that time, they'll do cereal or there'll be oatmeal if we've made oatmeal the morning of or the night before. Sometimes we'll make like oatmeal on a Sunday and then it'll last a few days for the whole fam, so everybody just gets a quick breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the routine for us. My wife drives the girls because they go to the same school, which is nice. Their school's K through 12.
Yeah.
It's a charter school. So that will all change. She will take all three of them next year. They'll all be at the same
next
school.
year being the year after this year.
Yes.
Okay.
So
2020,
the 2024 to 25
first
school
grade
year.
or kindergarten.
Correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Correct. So that will change a little bit.
And time flies.
So she'll be doing the drop off and the pickup. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll still be helping getting them ready. We split that duty. I mean, that's a shared thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, hey, can you get his shirt on him? I'll go brush his teeth and, or I'll work on breakfast while you do this. So we communicate fairly well who's going to do what. What I would like to know from our listeners is, what is your routine going back to school? We talked about having them do work to beat the summer slump.
Yeah.
We talked about doing activities, projects, making time for yourself, making time for your significant other. What is it like for work? Do you change your work schedule? My work schedule pretty much stays the same, although if there's appointments, like with any parent, right, you change your schedule. But like if your kids aren't in a camp, do you have the flexibility to work from home more because your kids aren't in a camp? So my wife and I, we split the work from home duty. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, hey, I'm with my kids on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And she's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at home in the summer. Mm-hmm. When they go back to school, she's at home 2 days a week. She has that flexibility. Mm-hmm. Not every parent does. Yeah. So I would like to know how that works for the listeners. And I don't think that's something we touched on for you and your wife. Yeah. Do you have the ability during the summer to change your schedule and work from home a little bit more because the kids are home? Does your wife?
So it's mainly the wife that can, but we both are having to work from our brick and mortar places, so we have to be at the building. Do we want to work from home? No. But anyway, we have to, if we have to, we have to. And that's something that I think so for us, our son's 13. So we leave him home, watch his sister.
Yeah. So
of course that situation is different. So I guess from the listeners, I want to know from the listeners, like also what would that be that certain, is that for that dad, what do they have to have a particular role as a dad? Like, does the dad have to do a certain thing? Do they, when it comes to, do they have to, some dads, what their routine is, do they do the hair?
Yeah. What is your specific role?
Exactly. And that's something that I would like to know as a person, because I've always thought as a dad, you are the provider. So if your spouse or your significant other, or if you're just a single person, you got to do it all. It is what it is. What do you do as a dad in that situation when it comes to school and getting them geared ready for school? So, yeah.
And I want to just say briefly that, we're not trying to enforce any gender norms, right? We're not trying to say, hey, this is the way it should be, and this is what it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
We're just saying these are the roles that we've taken, and we're curious about others.
Yeah.
There are dads that do hair. There are dads that are stay at home. Yep. They're homemakers.
Yep.
there's
Multiple
varying
jobs.
degrees. There are
Yeah.
families with 2 dads.
Yep.
You know, that's totally cool.
Mm-hmm.
All we want to know is, what is your transition like from school to summer, from summer back to school?
Yep.
What does your role as a father or fathers, does it change at any point in time during that transition?
Or if there's even a role.
If there's even a role, you
Yeah.
just kind of do what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I would say, honestly, that's probably closer to the model in my home. It's not necessarily like, hey, this is your job.
Yeah.
You know, like if we'll use something so simple as cutting the grass.
Mhm.
I do the yard work, cutting the grass at least most of the time, because my wife is allergic to the sun. Not literally. She just,
Oh, yeah.
when it gets to a certain temperature outside, she's gone.
80 degrees. It's like,
Yeah,
I'm
she-
glad. Yeah.
I mean, there have been times we've been out there together and I turn around like, hey, but how long has she been gone?
Yeah.
You know, so just as a tiny example,
Mhm.
you know, that's one of those things. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing from our listeners out there, because we're, like as mentioned, we're learning too, and we're looking for ideas.
Yeah.
We are in this parental life together.
Exactly.
So
Please tell us. Please help us. You know, please contact us. You know, because we want to know these things.
yes, we do. Did we forget anything? I feel like there's so much more we could talk about on this topic, but you know, I don't want to bloviate.
Man, I will say back to school shopping. I think we missed that.
Oh, tax-free weekend.
Jeez, I didn't know y'all had that thing, man. That threw me a whole nother loop today.
You got outside and you experience the drama that is tax-free weekend. Hey, there are some good deals out there, right?
Mhm.
But it's packed.
Yeah.
And you got to get what you need to get while the getting is hot. We did all that shopping online probably a couple months ago. We've had stuff sitting in another room. So
We don't have a tax-free weekend. That's the problem. So it's like,
because you don't have to pay taxes here in
yeah,
Alaska.
I know. So that's what I gotta get used to if I come down here to shop.
Well, with that, y'all,
Get it done early. No,
get it
I'm
done. Until next time, I'm E. James, and he is,
Rich. Let's
and
go.
this is Dad Mode. Take it easy.